I was thinking of
all the
just
snow comes, 90% of it.
yeah, I know, but I was thinking of January.
Morning, everybody. Call the meeting to order. I will begin with the following by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. The panel today, to my left is Mr. Maurice Thurian, to my far left is Mr. Robert Upton. I'm Robert Buss. The recording secretary today is Belhen Rojo, and our assessor is Brittany Santucci. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that the applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be a part of the public record. First item on the docket today is...
Please state your full name.
Brittany Santucci.
And you swear the event about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Please state your full name.
Marcel Navarro.
And you swear the event about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
First item on the docket is file number 192781. If you'd like to get started, please.
So this is file number 19-2781, roll number 03093002745. There's no current address, but it is located on New Market Boulevard, which is a new roadway.
There's some points of appeal here: liability to taxation, I see, amount of assessed value, and classification of property. Yeah.
We're just dealing with quantum.
The quantum.
Yeah, I think we just might have just ticked off those things, just cautionary.
Do you want to withdraw those points, or do you want them
It's just
confirmed?
a quantum, so yeah. We'll withdraw.
Withdraw.
Okay. Very good. So, continue, please.
Thank you. This is a vacant commercial property. The land area is 580,911 square feet. It's zoned CMU, commercial mixed use. If you turn to my page 2, I have an aerial shot of the land here, and I had went out and inspected in 2019 due to some new construction on the property. Currently, it says that the building will be finished in 2020, but when I was there, as of November 2019. Nothing was opened yet. And it looks like they're developing currently about 25% of the parcel. If you turn to page 3, we have no recent subject sale history. The land valuation summary, which is our model rate, is a net rate per square foot of $14.35. My land sale comparables, I tried to pick larger parcels located in the south end of the city. I listed them by sale date, from the oldest to the newest. My newest sales are from 2015, so still about 3 years prior to the reference date. My sale price per square foot range from $13.77 all the way up to $28.72. And the largest parcels I have are comparables 1, which is sold in May 2013, and then comparable 6, which sold in 2015. On bottom of page 3, I have photos of the comparables. My first comparable there located on Kenison. If you turn to page 4, I have comparable 2, also located off of Kenison and Bridgewater. Comparable 3, that would be off of Sterling Lion Parkway. Comparable 4, again located in Bridgewater. Comparables 5 and 6 are located in Bridgewater itself. Speak to that one. Comparable 6 on my page 3. It is actually comparables 4 and 5 combined. It was a multi-roll sale. And for comparable 7, the photo on page 5 is located off of Kenison in the outlet mall area. On page 6, I've just included some permits about the construction that's currently going on this property. And page 8 shows the diagram of where things are located on the subject. And page 9 is just my Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. If you turn back to page 1, my recommendation today is to maintain the 2020 assessed value of the $8,337,000. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name again.
It's Marcelo. N-A.
Navarro, I know. I'd asked you last time we were together. Okay, Mr. Navarro, if you have any questions, please.
Yes. We're looking at the physical condition as of the current condition, correct? But with reference to the April 1, 2018
For the sales,
reference
yes.
date for the sales, okay. And you mentioned that there's some construction going on, however, that construction is not complete, correct? Okay.
No.
And you said that 25% of the lot is being completed?
That was what I estimated for my aerial shots.
Now, based on your own aerial photos and looking at this parcel in particular, what is surrounding the subject?
To the north of it would be, I think, Chevrolet Industrial Properties. To the left is the Auto Mall, I guess to the west. To the east was some development on some of the vacant parcels, and then the far east an apartment building type of thing. So
this is essentially a new development. It's under development. It's not nearing development, correct?
You know, the only thing I found that was fully developed, I think, was the apartment block, but any commercial stuff was kind of in the process.
And that is one apartment block that has been built in there,
Just
correct?
one.
Okay. Now, as I look through your comparables, we can start through comparable 1. What do we see surrounding comparable 1?
I would say retail development and then residential to the west of it.
Yeah. To the east, I would say also.
Yeah.
So would you say that these are essentially built-up developments? The areas around them are completely built up?
Yes, those residential portions have been there for a while.
And the ones in Bridgewater also in terms of Northtown, those would also be the same situation. They have established residential in them. They're building commercial, intensive commercial, and that would be retail. And you have the residential already in place, correct?
Yes, but the residential is just be newer than.
Right. Now, in terms of our subject, do you think, would you give any weight to the fact that this is essentially a new development with built-up areas of residential not nearby, but nothing is around it essentially?
Currently, it's, mostly vacant land.
Okay. And in terms of your large land sales, you have 2 large land sales, and so you have number 6. This wasn't okay. This was a large land sale in Northtown. Again, this is an area that has largely built up residential areas near it. And this is intensive retail, I assume. I've been here.
I think Bridgewater,
Yeah.
will almost all be being out for the retail.
Do you know what the nature of the development of the subject is going to be?
From what I could see from plans was there was going to be, like it says, what's known as mixed use. There was going to be, I think, industrial to the north.
Some
This
residential.
portion is then residential, mostly, like I know on this property, it's going to be potentially retail.
And you have a large sale on Keniston Boulevard, and that is comparable one. Again, this also has built-up residential areas near it.
Yes.
Did you give any weight to, again, the type of development that we have for the subject, and the lack of development around it, surrounding it? So,
I figured with most of my newer sales being higher, the $14.35 model was a fair rate applied.
given that those things have also different aspects, like what I just explained, right?
Yes.
Okay, those are my questions.
Thank you. See the panel, Mr. Upton, questions?
Yeah, what is the access to this property? Is it by the aerial photo? There's access off of Bishop Grandin?
Yes, so you can now drive in off Bishop Grandin, but I think that was more of a recent development. And I also, so I entered off of Bishop and I exited on the roads to Chevrier. But it's not, I wouldn't say, built. Doesn't look like you can maybe access off of it. I was a little concerned when I got there, but I did access it off Bishop.
It's not completed yet.
No, it's not like I wouldn't say people aren't using it unless they're going to the apartment
Okay.
or construction.
So the construction on the property is apartment at the moment?
Yes, to the, what would be the east of the parcel.
Yeah, partially completed.
The apartment building?
Yeah.
I think it's fully, there seem to be people going in and out of it. I'm not sure if it's all rented out, but there is people renting it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Therian?
Yes, that was also, you mentioned 25% of the lot was completed. What did you mean by that? Did you mean
Or I'm like
buildings?
developing right now currently. So the Good Life that's currently being developed there occupies about 25% of this parcel, because this is quite a large parcel. So there's still about 75% of it being
Okay,
just
and
vacant
that's
land.
operating right now?
No,
No.
it won't be, we'll possibly add it to the roll in 2020, it's just
Okay.
depending on,
But I just wondered, you said people were coming in and out, but these were workers or what?
Just workers in this
Oh,
parcel,
just
yes.
workers? Okay. And do we know what's going to be happening around that piece of property? Because it's pretty, there's about 13 acres here, so it's a pretty big chunk.
Yes.
Do we know?
From the permit I included,
Yeah.
it looks like there'll be future smaller buildings on page 8. Do not know yet what they are. There was no other permits taken out for them. And then to the east of the property, there's currently a gas station being constructed. And that was about that on that property, which we have next on here as well.
Okay. I'm going to read in that permit here. I'll take my glasses off.
And from my understanding, north of the property, there was nothing really being constructed, and then farther north, there's developed industrial area.
And your comparables had, I guess, based on the questions of the appellant, were more developed all around.
Yes, I
Would
would say
that
like,
be a fair conclusion?
I would say that maybe possibly the Bridgewater stuff, I know houses were in that development, some of them sooner than the other side of it, but I would say yes, it would be a more developed area with more residential traffic.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So there's two buildings on the property. One is Good Life Fitness and the other is an apartment building?
No, so the apartment's on a different parcel to the east. So that would be the only completed thing in this development. On this current, like the subject property, there's just the Good Life being constructed, that's it.
Oh, okay. And there's the comparable number 6, which is in a similar size frame. Are you saying that was a compilation of 2 sales?
It was the 3, my comparable 4 and 5, they were combined together and sold. So they sold for $13.79 in 2014. In 2015, they sold together for $17.22.
Okay. So somebody bought them, put them together, and
Or it was a multi-roll sale. I think they're still separate roll numbers. They were just sold in one transaction.
but you consider them to be good sales, and you consider number 6 to be a good market sale?
Yeah, it's vacant land, so it's easy to determine what was applied to square footage.
Thank you. That's all my questions. Hear from you, Mr. Navarro, please.
On page 2 of the presentation, I have an overhead picture of this property, and I'll just give you a brief explanation. And Ms. Santucci was there. I've been there recently myself also. So you can drive in from Bishop Brandon. If you are on Bishop Brandon and you look to your left as you're approaching this development, what you'll see is an apartment building in the middle of a field that essentially sticks out because it is essentially the only building there. Now, there is another building that is being constructed, as Ms. Santucci said. I don't know when that building will be added to the roll, so we're still treating this as a vacant land parcel. Until that time when they do add it to the roll, we'll look at it again at that point. But we're treating this as a vacant land parcel. And as I said early on in my questioning, there are differences in these developments in terms of the type of development that's going in here, which is more like your industrial mall type of development versus the intensive retail that you see in Northtown. That is, again, in my opinion, a different type of development simply because it had all of the residential around it. So you're not having to play catch up, you're not having to wait to get customers in. That development is already primed and ready to go. This thing is in its inception. We're just starting out here. We have one apartment building, and as I said, it sticks out. You'll see it if you drive down Bishop Brandon. It's essentially the only building. So it's a 13.3 acre parcel, zone CMU, commercial mixed use. Commercial mixed use means that there are varied uses. They can incorporate retail, office. They can even incorporate some type of residential if they would like. It's a very similar designation than the residential mixed-use zoning category that is now in place in some of these parcels also, which allow for commercial uses within residential within residential zone lands. Now, if you turn to the page 4, you can see essentially the plan for this entire development. In terms of the highest and best use, we're not questioning the highest and best use. There's a plan in place, so we know what is going to go where. Again, here we have mixed-use development to the north of it, mixed-use commercial, urban mixed-use, parks. Once this thing starts going, it's going to be a nice little development. But again, it's in its inception, and that's where we tend to differ with the city in terms of what to apply to it, how to discount it. So when you look at my page 5, you can see some of the sales that I've used. Sterling Lion, Rockwell, Center. Templeton is a large lot, not relevant, I think, because it is rather large. It is far away. It's in the north side of the city. We had an average of $13.44. We went with $13. Again, this is us adjusting the value on this simply because we don't think that the comparisons in Northtown, some of the other ones, are not really capturing what is in our development or the lack of. So again, we've gone with a value slightly lower than the assessor. We're recommending an end value of $7,532,000 rounded. If you go into my appendix, you can see some of my comparables. Index 1, Index 2, Index 3, 4, and Index 5. On page 13, you can see essentially the planning framework or how planning works. So we start with legislation, move into development plan bylaws and secondary plan bylaws. These are policy documents. The last thing is zoning bylaws, variance, conditional orders, building permits, that type of thing. And the last page we see, again, it's just essentially a chart of the development process. So starting from assemblies all the way to initiating building. And that is my presentation.
Thank you. The assessor has any questions?
I was just wondering if there's a reason you didn't include the multi-role sale for the center, for the Bridgewater. I know you have the single.
There are 13 the larger one?
Yeah, when they were when your comparables 3 and 4 were sold together.
It's a newer sale. It should have been in there. Yeah, it should have been in the list. I disagree with the value of it, but it should have been in the list. Yeah.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sterian?
Yeah, why in page 5 are you using 579,348 square feet versus the city's 589,111? Is there an explanation for that?
You have to ask the city. I think it's a rounding thing. Because when we look at the information online, we get one decimal after, so we'll get like 8.9 acres for, sorry, this one.
The city's at 13.34 acres.
Right. So
You're at 13.3 acres.
Okay.
So that's probably where it comes in. I don't
exactly. 13.34
That's what I worked out for the city.
at 13.34 times.
Well, it might be close.
560. That is 581,090. Okay.
Okay, and it's 589,111, so they've rounded that up.
Yeah, so it's the way that the information is displayed online by the city, which is what we look at.
Okay.
So they actually look at different figures. I mean, it's a simple rounding issue,
Yeah.
but what they actually give us online is slightly different.
Well, the end result is not that much. It's
No.
$20,000, but I'm just trying to, I tried to figure out why.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why. Okay. So you're basically using similar comparables. You've had an average, but you're deducting 44 cents because of you figure this is a little less developed all around than the others are, that these are.
So-
Would that be fair? Because you've made a call here of $13 out of
It's-
13.44.
I would say that a little is not accurate.
No? Okay.
So when I say it's not as developed, you look at Northtown and the residential areas around it are developed. So
Okay, maybe it's not the right word. then.
Yeah.
Okay, I
when you
understand.
look at this development,
Okay.
we're just starting out here. So
I just won't use French on that one. Then I said little. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Upton?
Yes, on this property, there's access off Bishop Grannon going west, but not going east. Is that correct?
that's correct.
So that if you're coming from the east, pardon me, if you're coming from the west, you'd have to go, I don't know where you're going to get on this property. You'd have to go down Waverly or something and come back in the back way.
You could, I mean, I think at some point they're going to make it a nice, fully developed road right onto Chevrolet, and I guess you'll be able to access it that
Off
way.
of Chevrolet, you would come, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we're there yet. But, yeah, there's no way of, you would have to essentially go down Bishop, get onto Pembina, and then do the loop around, and then come back the other way.
So is that not as good access as the other properties of the city?
Well, Northtown was completely developed like a small town development. So you can access it from either way. Going south or going north, you can access it. And there's access and egress from just about every location, every direction. I forget what the term of the development is, but they want to make it like a small town. Everything is accessible from either direction. You have a commercial hub in the middle of the development, surrounded by residential development. So it's a different type of development. This is more your type of, you drive into it, it's a mixed use development. It'll have industrial, it'll have retail, it'll have some office, it'll have residential. All of those components will be there, but they're not built. That's the problem. The other ones, everything was built up. So before the commercial stuff was.
And on your comparables, are those, is there built up areas around those?
Yeah, I mean there are, and that's where you start making. That's why you make adjustments. Is that some of these have development around them already. So
The ones you cited?
yeah. So that is where the difference in opinion lies, is that we're talking about large-scale developments that for the most part are well underway or have had, have that residential component already there. And ours is just starting out.
And your comparables, are they as good areas? Is this one?
Well, I would say the only one that is really an issue is the last one, which is Templeton. So I tried to find something relatively recent that sold that was large scale. I don't know about its real, in terms of its comparison and comparability to our subject, the issue is the location. Templeton is in the north side of the city. This is in the south side of the city.
And the others are comparable location-wise, in terms of where they are in the...
Comparable location-wise, they're in the south side of the city. Pembina, I think they're all in Pembina School Division. The assessors are all in Pembina School Division. So in that sense, they're in the same area, but again, slight differences in terms of the type of developments.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
Could you, on this picture, I'm sorry, I missed this one, page 4. I guess it would be that MU commercial, it would be in that larger chunk here? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so there's two chunks there.
Yeah?
The one to the very left is, I believe, ours.
Oh, I see.
And the one to the right of the road is the next one that we're going to be looking at.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's this one here. But
That's
it's
how the
not-
map, yeah.
Not all of it,
No.
just part of it.
Yeah, just part of it.
Just part of it.
The stuff that is left of the road
Yeah.
is what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, but it's part of it.
What's right is what we're going to be looking at next.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry,
So-
Mr. Chair.
No, that's fine. So there's no plans by the city to ever put some kind of a
Underpass
underpass
or
from
overpass?
from when you're coming from the west heading east? Is there a long-term plan for that you know of?
I don't know, but if the Waverly Underpass is any indication, it's going to take another 30 years. So no, I don't think that there's any plans right now to put anything
So access will be
off of the Bishop going westward.
otherwise Chevrier,
Yeah.
or will there be access off Waverly?
Um,
No, yes, no?
I'm not even sure that they will put access through Chevry at this point, because again, it is access to a lot of industrial area, like the industrial area in there with larger vehicles. So I don't know how the city would feel about a lot of, car access through there.
Well, there would have to be more than just the Bishop Grandin, though, I believe. right?
Yeah, so at this point, that's all there is.
Put something from Waverly?
And it doesn't connect directly to Waverly.
But that's,
And you can see the map there, Chevry to the north there, okay? Now, there is a road that goes there, but it is a very, it's being used as access for the vehicles that are working inside the site. So there may be plans to actually make access through Chevry. The problem is, though, that again, a lot of the traffic on Chevry is larger vehicles. I'm not sure how they would feel about having access for smaller vehicles through there. What would make sense is to have another access point through Bishop Grandin. And whether they'll do that, I don't know at this point. There's none. The only way that you could access it at this point is through Bishop Grandin going westward.
okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Summation? Okay, that concludes item number 1. Move on to item number 2, and I see this points of appeal. Is this similar to the last one that had
I think they already signed the.
for both of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. Then
Mr. Chair.
you be so kind as to lead us through your information.
This is file number
Gee.
19-2807, roll number 03093-002-750. The address is 225 New Market Boulevard. This is a vacant commercial property, zoning CMU for the commercial mixed use, and the land area is 411,031 square feet. If you turn to page 2, I have an aerial shot which just shows this is the property to the east of the last one we spoke about. And just to speak to the access, there is an intersection at Waverly currently being constructed. I don't know when it's going to be done, but there will be access off of Waverly into this development. It's kind of where the auto mall access would be.
Is it Skurfield, where Skurfield comes down? Is that Skurfield?
Just at
be south of
Waverly, it's like a new intersection, kind of where you would normally.
Oh, what they're building to the
Yeah.
back.
So it would kind of be through a back entrance. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
that's not.
It's not done yet, no, but they are kind of there was stuff up. I don't think it's going to be done right away.
Okay, I'm
so.
sorry I interrupted you. Carry on.
Okay. So for my inspection photos in November 2019, I inspected, most of the lot is vacant. About what I calculated was the construction was taking place on about 44,000 square feet, so about 10.6% of the site is currently, so quite a large portion of this one is still land. There's no subject sale history. Our model net rate per square foot is $19.11. My land sales comparables are the same from the previous property. I have comparables 1 through 7. Again, they range from $13.77 all the way up to $28.72. My oldest sale is 5 years prior to the reference date. My newest sale is about 3 years prior to the reference date. So it's possible that these could be time adjusted upwards. My photos of the comparables are on pages 3 to 5. I'd like to point out, I think on comparable 7, there is only access into that parcel off of Kenniston coming south. Other than that, I have some permit information on page 6, just showing what will be there potentially in 2020. And currently, again, it's valued on vacant land. And based on the economies of scale, I'm guessing that's why our model applied a higher net rate per square foot for this property. Again, they are similar net areas, though. I think 180,000 square foot difference. And my recommendation today is to maintain the 2020 assessed value of the $7,854,000. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, questions of the assessor?
I think we're just going to repeat exactly what we just did, right?
Yes.
So I don't think we need to do, because we're talking about the parcel that's right beside us.
Yes.
It's the same sales, I'm using the same sales,
Yes.
so we just went over this argument, why we adjusted it, and I know exactly why their model is predicting a higher land rate, so I think we covered it.
Very good. We'll see if the panel has any questions. Mr. Upton?
None for me, thank you.
I have just on the comment of time adjusted. These were not time adjusted, nor were they time adjusted on the previous one.
No, none of my sales have been time adjusted. I tried to list them in order of sale, Jay, just to show that some of them had increased, like the Bridgewater ones had sold in 14, increased in 15, but I didn't time adjust them. I just used the actual sale price per square foot.
Is there any reason why you didn't time adjust it?
For this, the city, in our sheet, we didn't have them time adjusted, and we didn't have them time adjusted for our land comparables. I was just going to speak to the fact that there was one that resold, and I know sometimes people don't agree with the time adjustments we apply, so
Yeah, well,
I figured I'd just speak to what the actual sale prices were.
Okay. Well, we're getting different arguments at this table, that's all I can tell you.
I do agree, though, I think that they should possibly be higher. I just don't have an exact number to give to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The development, you said they're building on that right now? That's what these
Just a
permits
small
are?
portion.
So that's going to be a Shell gas station? Is that
I
it?
think, I can't remember what the permit says, Shell. But yes, there'll be a gas station and a car wash.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any further plans to currently develop that site after that.
Okay, and I get a question about the sales. 4 and 5 sell for $13.79 a square foot, and then when they're put together, they sell for $17.22. Do you think that has anything to do with the price per square foot being higher? Has anything to do with the time adjustment, or is it that it's a bigger piece of land and more desirable?
Usually with a bigger piece of land, the square footage would be lower. I think it's just there was more development in the area, which caused the land to maybe be more valuable with all the houses that were finished. I'm unsure, but it just shows that the value did increase over a year.
Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions. tomorrow.
Yeah, if you'd like, we can just quickly look at the picture. Again, this is the parcel that is right beside the one that we just looked at.
Okay.
And then we can go straight to our rate on page 5. Again, we're using the same sales that we used on the previous one. I've made an adjustment upwards on this one, whereas the previous one I used $13 per square foot. I used $13.25 per square foot. It is roughly so it's about 4 acres smaller. 3.9 acres smaller. So we've made an adjustment upwards in terms of the rate. We're proposing a value of $5,425,398, or $4,425,000 rounded. And again, it's based on the same information that we just spoke about on the previous update. I'm waiting for questions.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Santucci, questions of
No questions.
Mr. Upton?
I'd just like to redirect a question to the assessor.
Go ahead. Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
That you've come up to $19 now. Is that because of the size of the parcel one?
Yes,
Does that directs the model to
Yes.
check out a higher rate?
For this one, it's a smaller area and it has the higher net rate. So I would just
Simply
be
because of
modeling
size?
that.
Size only?
Yes.
dictates that?
There's no other, I don't think, influences on this one that would be any different than the other one.
Would you agree that size dictates a higher rate?
Hence the reason I did that all as well.
Yeah,
So-
you just slightly adjusted upwards.
Yeah, so I went from $13 to $13.25. The difference of opinion is how much of an increase there is on the decrease of the size of the parcel. Again, one is being predicted by a model, whereas we're making an adjustment based on what we're seeing. It's more subjective. However, again, we're also taking into account the things that we talked about in the previous one. Whereas I don't think the model has considered that. It simply doesn't look at those things, whether there would be a difference between one development and another. It would just look at the straight land value and treat them equally.
So in your opinion, the size does not dictate that high an increase as the city tax report?
No, my opinion is that as you get smaller, the price per square foot increases.
Yep.
Yeah.
At a relatively lower value than, lower factor than what the city does.
Well, I think in general we're lower than the city. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Therian?
Yeah, on Templeton, did you not say in the previous case that we shouldn't consider that one? Did you not say that, or did I misinterpret what you said on Templeton?
I say that in terms of its comparability, that the subject location is not there. In terms of size, it's comparable.
Yeah, okay. I thought you had mentioned that. That's my only question.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions either. No questions. They've been answered. So that will conclude item number 2. And item number 3 is Juvenals Boulevard.
The Zibelna, that is a
How's
tough,
my pronunciation?
this is very tough on you guys, I'm sure. The Hibernat, which means winter,
Place to
Hibernat,
go.
winter, yeah, winter people, I guess. I don't know what Hibernat, I don't know what it means, but it's got something to do with winter.
For this one, there was actually a supplemental issue. There's actually a building on it, so I can use.
It's moot.
Wood?
Yeah, the appeal is, there's no point in it because, again, there's a building on it now, and the building is actually exempt.
It's a date.
So this appeal was filed before we realized that there was actually a building on there now.
Okay, so if you
Want
would,
to withdraw?
We can definitely withdraw it. It's probably the easier route to take.
Did you get a copy of the new assessment? Were you notified of the, has that come out already?
It probably has, but we weren't.
Did I include it? I think I included it in my brief if you want to see. The new assessment, so what was appealed was the $1,091,000. And I had just included what was sent out
Yeah.
based on my page 7, it shows the $1,394,000.
Okay, it's because what we've been seeing is that sometimes the appellant does not receive the supplement, so he doesn't have
No.
a chance to appeal.
Yeah, we're not saying that the city didn't send it. The city probably sent it out to the appellant, the owner, but the owner didn't get it to us.
Okay.
So that's where the communication was lacking.
Okay, because we're looking at fairness here, and if you don't get it in time, you can't appeal.
We think the city's fair with that.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, so this will be
Withdrawn.
withdrawn. And that will take us to item number 4, 493 Provencher.
This is file number 19-2551, roll number 06093-308-800, address 493 Provencher Boulevard. This is a vacant commercial property, zoned C2, commercial community. The land area is 16,139 square feet. We turn to page 2. I have some aerial shots of the lot. It's currently undeveloped. There's a sign, I guess, to possibly develop it, but as of right now, nothing. Vacant grass, the trees. There's no recent subject sale history either. On page 3, I have the land valuation summary. So the modeled net rate per square foot is $32.40 we've applied to this. I have my land sale comparables. I've included 8 comparables here. I tried to find vacant commercial sales in the St. Boniface area. My oldest sale, comparable 1, sold September 2012, and I have some more recent sales. My comparable 8 was for June 2017. My comparables 1, 2, and 3, I would say, are more similar to the size of the subject property, just older sales. I would think they would have to be time adjusted a bit up. Comparable 4 is much larger but closer to the subject property on Archibald. Comparables 5 and 8 are the same property. They sold. Comparable 5 sold in 2016, comparable 8 sold in 17. Comparable 6 and 7 sold in the same year. Not sure what happened there. And then on page 3 at the bottom is my photos of the comparables. My comparable 1, as I said, probably more similar size, just an older sale, located on Marion Street. Comparable 2 on page 4, also located on Marion Street, more similar size, older sale. Comparable 3, located on Goulet. That one, larger parcel, but I guess more similar than the smaller ones. Comparable 4 is quite a large parcel, located on Archibald. And page 5, I have my comparables 5, 6, 7, and 8, these are smaller lots here than the subject property. Page 6 is just my Municipal Assessment Act excerpts, and my recommendation today is to maintain a 2020 assessed value of the $524,000. Thank you, that's my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, any questions of the assessor's information?
Yes, based on our conversations regarding how the price of land increases as the size decreases, your comparables 5 through 8 are not as comparable with the subject, right?
No, those are much higher sale price per square foot based on the fact that they're either 5,000 or like almost 3,000 square feet.
And in terms of the value, neither of us is actually close to the sales. So your sales are suggesting values of, I would say, probably in the late 20s to early 30s, but you're at $59 per square foot, $59.53.
32.47 for this one.
Oh, 32.47?
I think the 165 Provenche is going the higher.
Oh, no, I'm looking at for the subject.
Subject is at 32.47.
32.47.
Well, the subject can't be at 32.37. It's assessed at 721, and that actually is 59.53 per square foot.
For 493 Provenche?
Oh. Sorry, I am looking at 165 Provenche.
Okay.
Wrong one.
We're on item number 4.
Okay.
Civic address 493 Provenche Boulevard.
Okay, got it. Okay. So, again, your larger sales are indicating a average, and this is just average because I'm just looking. I'd say somewhere around 27, 26. Your model has adjusted slightly higher. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Upton, questions?
I don't think I have any right now, thank you.
Mr. Perry?
So, just to confirm, you looked at 1, 2, and 3 seems to be the more relevant in relation to...
Everything in size and
size.
shape of the lot.
Okay. Have you examined any of these, or you haven't?
I just reviewed them based on if they were arm's length, fee simple. There was nothing out of the ordinary on them.
Okay. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, and I as well have questions. The 3 Marion Street properties to me seem to be the best comparables. Do you think they're better locations than the subject being up by close to that industrial area?
I would say that they are probably a better location. If I take those 3 sale price per square foot and average them out, they work out to about $29.61. They are sold 4 to 6 years prior to the reference date, so I took into account that they could probably be adjusted up now, and I thought that the $32.47 was a fair value applied by our model.
Okay. Thank you, that's all my questions. Mr. Navarro.
If you look at page 4 under the site and property description of my brief, I'll just briefly go over the site and property description. So the property is a vacant land parcel consisting of 16,139 square feet, zone C2. The total site actually consists of 4 identical lots which were assessed separately in 2010 but were merged in 2012. The property is located on the north side of Toronche, just west of Archibald. Immediately to the west is a small residence. The lots are all raw grasslanded with some trees. The subject property was purchased in November 1997 for $80,000. The properties have sat undeveloped for unsold since they were purchased 15 years ago. So I think the problem here is location. Again, this property has sat there vacant for 15 years. Nothing's been done to it. So that is pointing to a problem with the location itself. I would agree that the Marion properties, in terms of their sales, they are likely properties that we can draw from because of their proximity to the subject. However, those properties don't have the issues that our subject has. I took a wider perspective in terms of this because I thought that we needed to look at other, commercial properties and see how they sold also. So I have a list of properties here on page 5. All over the city: Academy, St. Anne's, Broadway, Osborne, Corydon, Henderson, Roblin. In terms of the average value, they came out to $39.44. We were requesting $20. We'll look at some of the comparables in the appendix. So you can see Appendix 1, or Index 1. That is a small commercial property on Academy. Index 2 is 113 St. Anne's, again smaller. Number 3 is 630 Broadway. Number 4 is 265 Osborne. Number 5 is Corydon. 6 is again Corydon again. Number 7 is off of Henderson. And the last one is off of Roblin. So I think the question is whether the sales in proximity to the subject are more appropriate, or whether commercial lots in general throughout the city are more appropriate. In general, we didn't find any issues with the comparables that we have in terms of their ability to be developed. Some of them have been developed already and in the process of being developed. And that's where our subject is different. Its location to that industrial area. I don't know what that is across the street, whether those are granaries with large silos. But its location, I think, is what has prevented this property from being developed into anything over a 15-year period. So we adjusted the value of it, obviously, downwards. And that's my presentation.
Thank you. The assessor has any questions?
Yes. I was just wondering if you investigated comparable number 8 at all. I had looked into it. It said that there was a sale price and a sworn value on it based on a Collier's appraisal.
So we would have looked at the sale engine that we use is Sabre, which is the MLS product that I believe you guys have access to it also. So we look at the individual sales based on the instrument numbers. That is what the instrument number indicated. I don't have access to a Collier's appraisal, so I wouldn't know about that.
Okay. The owner had let us know that there was actually 2 values, I guess, applied to it. One was based on an appraisal, so I'm not sure if that 200,000 is the reflective of the actual market value.
Well, what I can tell you about Roslyn is that it was a former gas station. So I'm not sure whether that accounts for the price. It may. It's quite low, so that could be one reason why it was.
Yeah. So you weren't aware of any appraisal for $590,000?
No, and we would have to see the appraisal to understand. We just don't have access to Collier's appraisals.
Perfect, thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Just other than that, there's no other, what would be your most comparable to the subject, I guess, out of your comps here? I guess Broadway or Henderson?
I would say that probably Henderson is probably the closest in terms of size. It doesn't seem to have any major impediments to it. In fact, it's being developed at this point. It's similar in size, sold for $18.84 in 2016, so it's actually a relatively new sale. So in terms of its applicability, I mean, it's not even that far from our subject. I mean, Henderson and this area are not exactly that far away from each other. Different market areas, but still, it fronts a high traffic roadway. Again, ours has that also, but again, it also has the influence of being beside some industrial areas that are probably not favorable.
That's all my questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Darian, questions?
Yes, in relation to your page number 3, I think you're aware this building is no longer there. That's vacant land now?
Yeah.
It's been vacant land for, I mean, I don't want it my evidence, but I'm aware, driving by, that this is no longer in place. It's been leveled. So that probably, what would you say was that the main reason why the thing wasn't selling? 15 years, you said?
15 years is a long time, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So we don't exactly know the reasons. They have tried to develop it. It's just it hasn't worked for anyone. So I don't know if it's an access egress issue. I don't think that there is an access egress issue because the access would probably be granted if they were to build a development here. I think the industrial areas affected the property value for a long time, and that's probably what kept it from being developed.
Okay, that's all my questions.
It's not on the. It's also not on the nicer side of Provencher. So I would say as you're approaching Taché, you're getting into the nicer side of Provencher, and I think it's Desmurons that cuts.
Well, there's Archibald and there's Mirrors.
Yeah, I think
So it's close to Archibald.
Yeah, so
And the tracks.
right, and then once you cross the tracks, I think you're in a better area commercially.
Okay. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Upton?
Yeah, you said your best comparable was on Henderson, you felt. Do you know any impediments there were to that property in terms of it being a gas station or an access issue or anything else that affected that sale?
Henderson?
The one on Henderson you said was your best comparable.
There is
What do you know about that property?
So it's being developed right now. So I don't think that there were any impediments to it. It's on a nice roadway. There's a lot of traffic flow. It has residential beside it. It's a similar size in terms of the overall size. It's sold relatively recently. So in that sense, it's probably the best comparable.
Okay, and the subject property, what kind of building is right next door to it on the lot to the west of it? Obviously, there hasn't, those lots beside it have been developed.
Yeah, so I believe in the subject description, site and property description, it says that the property located on the north side of Provence Stadium and just west of Archibald, immediately to the west is a small residence. So you're looking at the property right beside it.
Mm-hmm.
So that we're saying is a small residence.
Okay. And has this been advertised for sale, this property?
Yeah, there's an advertisement actually right on it.
That's owner will build to suit tenant, but it hasn't been put up for sale again.
No, I don't think it has been put up for sale.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So it's zoned commercial, C2 commercial. What could they do on that? Could they change it and put some apartment, multifamily on there? Is that a good spot for multifamily?
In terms of the zoning, I tend to sometimes look at zoning as a moving target. If the highest and best use is not for commercial property at this point, and they've exhausted that, then I would say that probably residential development is possible. It has enough size, I think, to put in a small condo-style building. Low rise, definitely. It doesn't seem like the commercial aspect is there. So for whatever reason, it's not working here. And I mean, if you look at that corner on the other side, I mean, there's not much for commercial. It's not intensive commercial. So yes, it possibly could be turned into a residential development. I believe actually that's what's happening with Henderson. So when there isn't market there for a commercial development, there may be a market there for residential.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thanks. That will move us on to number 5, 689 Taché. Yes, 689 Taché.
Thank you, Mr.
Just
Chair.
that you whenever you're ready.
This is file number 19-2677, roll number 06060374500, address 689 Taché Avenue. This is a vacant commercial lot, zone C2. We have a land area of 10,725 square feet. If you turn to page 2, I have a picture of the subject property. It actually backs onto the river. So we've only assessed part of the land area. It's actually currently being used as a parking lot for the property that's located on the corner of Provence and Taché. We have some sales subject history, the last from 2006. If you turn to page 3, we do have some detached structure details on here, I guess, due to the paving, the fencing, the lights. That added $9,000. Based on our land model, we've applied a net rate of $24.06 per square foot. The land sales comparables are the same as the previous one, previous property. And I'd just like to also note this parking, there is no parking on the corner of Provencher and Taché, so this property is required based on, I think they need over 52 stalls on the building. So this is one of the 2 lots they use as their required parking. And this lot also has, which the appellant will point out, 11 stalls dedicated to the library. Based on this information, which we'll have to look into further due to, I guess, we'll talk about exemptions. But my recommendation today is to maintain a 2020 assessed value of the $267,000. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Laura, questions of the assessor?
I don't have any questions of the assessor.
Okay. Mr. Upton, questions?
If this is used as a parking lot, why isn't it assessed as such as a parking lot?
I think because it was outside the downtown, we chose to value it on vacant land. And we can't merge it with the building because it's across the street. Normally, what will happen, the building hasn't been appealed yet, but we take the land value off the building because it's required. It's kind of the procedure, it's my understanding.
But you haven't done that yet.
No, that's going to be coming up, they're not coming here with you.
Sorry, I cut you off, Mr. Upton. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. No, that's fine, thank you.
So, it's my turn?
Yes.
So this is north of Provencher and west of Taché.
West of town.
Okay. I'm just trying to visualize where it is. So, trying to look at your work up here on page 3 at the top. So you've got paving. So I what does this mean at the top? I'm not connecting here.
So for the detached structures, we've applied this based on like a cost model. We have paving, parking fence, I think is one of them, and floodlights. So we've applied
I see.
depreciated values to the kind of what is built on the lot currently.
Okay. Okay, that's all, thank you.
Okay. Which building is using this parking lot?
It's the taller building at the corner of Provencher and Taché, where the library, there's a restaurant in there, offices. 131 Provencher.
So it's next door to the library?
I think the library's in this
Inside.
building. Yeah.
Oh, I see, the building that houses the library.
Yes.
Okay. Does the library pay rent to rent the spaces?
From my understanding, they don't. And there's 11 stalls being used by the
And
library.
you're saying it's required by that building, so they couldn't really sell it?
I don't think, I think it would be in their best interest to keep it based on their requirements. So that's why we take this land value off the building value.
But you haven't, or
That will be done, so I guess with these orders type of thing, he can bring them in for that hearing. And I've already spoke to the assessor dealing with that property. I've done it on a few other properties, like where banks require parking, we've taken the value off.
So it will be done, or
Yes.
are you expecting us to do it?
Well, I guess we'll speak to it at the hearing and just kind of say that previously last year, that's what they did. You dealt with it last year, and another assessor had, and I spoke to him, and he said, yes, I took the parking lot values off the building in my recommendation. And they just kind of explained that to the board.
straight. So the value of this lot has...
Will be
has been-
deducted from the building.
From the building.
Assessed value.
Okay. That's all my questions.
Just to provide an explanation of this, because I think there's some confusion here. So we're taking the value of the land off of the buildings, so that reduces the value of the building property overall. However, there's still a value on these parcels of land that stays on them, because they still have to have a value on them. But we're saying because they are part of the economic unit of the building, that is the reason that the value comes off of the building. Now, in terms of this particular property, we've had some conversation about this, and because there are some parking lots or parking stalls that are specifically required by the library and for the library patrons, not for library staff, but actual patrons of the library, those parking stalls should actually be exempt. However, we didn't deal with it in this appeal, and we're going to deal with it in another way. So I have no issues with the value that the assessor is putting on the parking lot overall, so the quantum is okay. The tax liability issue, classification, we'll deal with that separately. So I ask that you confirm the quantum on this property.
Okay. If you're taking the value off the building, you don't need to be facetious, but maybe you should be asking for an increase if it's going to come off the building.
Well, we have to be fair and represent what's there.
Yes, I would think so. Okay, well, do we have any questions? Any questions?
Sounds okay to me.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you. We will move on to 165 Provencher Avenue, item number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is file number 19-3226, roll number 06093, 124800, address 165 Provencher Boulevard. So this is a vacant commercial property. It's zoned commercial community C2. The land area is 12,111 square feet. If you turn to page 2, I have an aerial shot of the subject. It's located on Provencher, in between, I think, St. Joseph Street and Taché. Rectangular vacant lot on a busy street. Currently, there's nothing on there. The subject sale history, there was something as post-reference, so I removed it. The land valuation summary for this property, we have a net rate per square foot of $59.53 applied to the 12,111 square feet. My land sales comparables we've already kind of gone through. I would say again, size-wise, it's not as small as comparables 5 to 8. It's a bit smaller than comparables 1 to 3. I would say it's a fairly good location if someone were to develop it. Since we've kind of already gone through those, my recommendation today is to maintain the 2020 assessed value of the $721,000. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, questions of the assessor?
Do you have the average of your land comparables?
Oh yes. So for my for all of them or just the top?
Just all of them.
Okay. 1 second. The average would be $40.05 for all 8 comparables.
So $40.05. And you have essentially what I think are 2 blocks here. One of slightly larger properties in slightly smaller properties. And if you take the average of all of those, you get $40.05. But you're at $59.53.
Yes.
Can you explain? That's just the model?
Yeah, that would be the model, and the older sales, when I checked the time adjustments that could have been applied to them, were around a higher value. I didn't include those, so I figured the Marion ones, if you did time adjust them up, it would be closer to around $50. So I figured this is a good spot on Provencher, and
But you're still
could be a
$9
bit high.
above $50.
Yeah, so we could be a bit high based on the model generated value, but
Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mrs. Therrien, questions?
Well, yeah, just going to pick up on what he said here. You're at 59. Could you give your logic again for making it to 49?
or 59, or
Well,
sorry.
You
So
mentioned 49 there at the end. What
yes,
does that comment?
$50. So when I looked at the previous time adjusted sales, the ones I didn't include, like for 156 Marion, I think we had time adjusted up to 55. We had comparable to time adjusted to about $39. I couldn't
Okay.
find the time adjusted for Marion, the other one, but it's within a range. I think it's a good property location if we're a bit high based on what the model generated, but I feel like we're within a range of acceptable number.
Okay. Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Upton. Questions?
I don't think I have any on this one, thank you.
I'd like to ask about the 3 Marion Street properties. The first one between Taché and Kenny Street, I think. It's a parking lot? Is it
That
still,
one,
is it still a parking lot, you know?
I think that one is still from, this would have been, I think, a 2018 aerial shot, so that would be a parking lot.
So 2018.
I think that's when my aerial shots were effective.
Okay, number 2, whereabouts is this? I have trouble reading those streets.
Oh, sorry. Number 2 is Marion and Traverse Avenue.
Okay, yes.
And there's a building on there.
That's been developed into
Yes.
a small condominium building. And number 3,
Is located on Goulet, kind of closer to the corner of Desmirons, but more in the middle of the street there. And from what I can tell, there's some development on there.
yes, that's like the building put on there. Okay. That's all my questions. You would like to take us through your information?
I think we can just turn to page 5. We know what this parcel looks like and where it's located, so I used similar sales that I used in the previous Provencher property. And also recognized its location, so this is in a better part of Provencher. It will probably be developed at some point. So in terms of relevance, I think what I honed in on was probably sales like Index 2 and Index 5. I adjusted the rate to $50 per square foot, and I'm proposing a value of $605,550. I think that's it.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Upton, any questions of?
Well, you're saying your most comparables are 2 and 5? Okay. I don't think I have any questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Therrien?
I'm fine, thank you.
So this, I'll ask about the zoning again, C2. So they could, what does C2 mean? What, 2-story commercial building maybe, something like that?
I think the proper term is community commercial. I don't think it really gets into the issue of heights and stuff like that, but it allows for a slightly more intensive, larger commercial development. So you could add potentially more stories on it, especially seeing that it's on Provencher.
Okay, we looked at the sales, so I think that group of my questions. Thank you. And we'll move on to the last item on the docket, number 7, I believe, is Zero Dumoulin.
Okay, Mr. Chair. This is file number 19-2100, roll number 06093 407-000, address 0 Dumoulin Street. This is a vacant commercial lot, zoned commercial community, C2, land area of 10,892 square feet. So this lot is also used by 131 Provencher because they are required to have over about 52 stalls or more. So this one, including this one, gives them about, I think, 53 to 54 stalls, so right around what they need. So on page 2 I have the aerial shots. It just shows that the lot is not too far away, just north of the building it is required for. There's no subject sale history. So for this one here as well, we have detached structures depreciated for a fence and paving. So our model generated a net rent per square foot of $46.18, which I thought was quite high. I don't think it deserves the same high rate as, let's say, something right on Provencher. So after speaking to the applicant, my recommendation today is to reduce the 2020 assessed value from the $521,000 to $381,000 using about $34.98 per square foot. Just confirm that's for you. So yeah, $381,000 using $34.98.
Very good.
And that's my presentation.
Thank you. Is that,
But I have no questions for the assessor and we'll accept that.
yeah, very good. Thank you. Okay, and that was the last property on the docket. Any summation for that property or any other ones today? Navarro, any final words?
That's
No,
it.
usually it's a pleasure when I work with you.
It was a good hearing.
I'm glad everybody.
Yeah, we like nice, respectful hearings. A lot of fun.
Okay, well, thank you both.